Hello, welcome back to this series. So in the previous video we have encountered an error. Okay, so that error has been resolved. So to get out of that error, I have used a command called npm install -g Json Server, which means we are going to install a node package manager. Npm means node package manager, so we are going to install an npm install of Json Server. Okay, -g means globally we are going to install this Json Server, and then hit enter. After running this command, just hit enter. So an npm package will be installed, and after that, now we are going to run this server. As of now, initially it does not have any data, so it is going to be an empty database. So let me just close the other tabs, and then now the server is running. Now let me just run it inside a new browser. See, as of now it should give an empty data, but it's giving data like this. This is because inside the array of empty data, emp data, I must not give an empty object like this. Instead, I should give an empty array, because the JSON data will be consisting of an array of objects. So if we give it like this, it will take this as something inside an array. So in order to start the server initially with 0 values, then we need to give it as an empty array. So let me just save it. The server is running automatically, so let me just grab this URL and then paste it over here once again, and then again run it. So now it is an empty data set, so which just doesn't have anything. Now this is working perfectly. Now click on the plus button inside the terminal. So here another terminal will be opened, and in the background this terminal will be open because this is a server. Okay, now the server will be on, and then we can do the things which we want to do in the interface part. ngserve-o ये देने के बाद हमको project दिखेगा, and then this is the database file .json. I'm going to close it because I'm going to add the data in it. Okay, अभी यहाँ तक complete हुआ है. I'm going to add a new employee. Over here I'm giving the employees, and then the data is coming in the console. It's also working. So now whenever we hit on the submit button, instead of just consoling the data, I want to send it to the JSON server, because the JSON server is acting as my database. So before that, I need to inject the service. So the service is nothing but, as I have told you earlier, the service is the service logic file. Okay, the service emp service.ts. We have created this initially using nggs of service of emp, nggs of emp, that has generated us these two files with the name emp service. So let me just create private http of http client. Okay, now in here we are injecting the http class services inside this http करके एक instance पे, and then we are writing the server side logic inside this thing. So keep in mind that we have created the model.ts. The exact scenario of the service file is, we are just this service helps us like a pipe connection between the interface and the database. Okay, now this service file will help us to get the data, update the data, delete the data, get the data, update the data, delete the data, and also show the data to the users. Okay, so in this thing, now the data which we are showing, which we are adding, which we are deleting, which we are updating, is nothing but an employee data, which is having the parameters as id, employee name, and employee address. So inside the employee service.ts, we are going to define some functions, name as, for example, we are going to define a function where we are going to add the employee. So that is add emp as a function, and the data will be of type emp, which is already defined in the model.ts. So this is having these required parameters. So go to emp.service, the data, it is inside the data. Now return this dot http dot post, because we are posting the data, that is adding the data. Now go to the this thing, then copy paste the link over here, okay, and then give it as the data, because we are adding the data, over here. And then we are going to create another one named get all employees function. We are going to create that, and then inside this we are going to return http dot get all the employee data, right? So that is get all the employee data in an array form, okay, to show that in the UI. So let me just give the URL link, and this will do its job getting all the data. And then I am going to also delete employee from the interface to the server. So here I am going to pass that particular employee ID as a number to delete, okay, and then I am going to return this dot http dot delete of particular employee. Inside this I am going to give like this, and then here we are going to do the interpolation. It is a new concept, emp id, okay, and for this thing we are going to use backticks, because in TypeScript for interpolation we use backticks. Backticks are nothing but the button which is present in the keyboard, that is left side of the one button, okay. Now you can see that in the keyboard, just see down, you can see that. So this is the delete employee. Now get each employee. Now this is for the updation of each employee, okay. So for this I am passing the ID in the parameter of a string, okay, and then we are going to return this dot http dot get that each employee. Now see the difference here, we are getting the employee, all the employees, and then storing it in an array, but here we are getting the particular employee. So these brackets are nothing but the interface, okay. So in here we are going to define the URL link with a particular ID, right? So dollar and then the ID. So don't forget, for this thing we need to use backticks, otherwise it will consider this as a normal string, and this will cause problems while doing the function calls and while calling the particular methods. Now update employee. Now this function will update the data given by the user, http dot put of emp of particular employee. This is for a particular employee, this is for set of employees, okay. So let me just use the backticks directly, and then this is the URL link, and then slash dollar of emp data dot id, and then emp data, okay. What is this emp data? Now this emp data is nothing but the parameter emp data, which is of type emp, okay. Now like string, number, emp has also become like a data type, okay. Now here every time when we will get the data, the data which we are getting from the server will be loaded as an emp form, that is employee data type form, which is having an ID, which is having a name, which is having an address, okay. Now this is the service file which will be playing a crucial role while working with the REST APIs in the Angular in general, and also within the project while we are taking the data from the JSON. Now, as we have created the service files, we are going to add an employee into the server. So as you can see earlier, we have getting the data and we are printing it in the console directly. But let me just check it for you once again. So open the console, right click, inspect, and then go to console, enter the employee name. For example, let's just say Thor, and then the employee city is let's just say Thor का city क्या था? Thor का city याद नहीं आ रहा है, like Iron Man, and the city is New York. Sorry my boy, maybe fan था लेकिन नाम याद नहीं आ रहा. So here we can see Iron Man New York successfully added employee, and it is gone also. So let me just go back and let me just comment this first. Okay, just comment these things, and then now we are going to write this service logic inside this component. So for doing that, go to the constructor, go to private, and then give it as employee service, anything, any name which you want, but make sure you remember that name and don't get confused. So I'm writing this name with the small letters. So over this thing, this dot emp service dot, no, see, these are the methods that I have defined in this inside the service. So this is nothing but injecting into the component, like injecting. Okay, dot add employee, which is having one expected argument. So that is nothing but this dot emp object. So do you remember we are storing all the data inside the emp object, which is initially empty. That is the declaration of emp object, and then after clicking that, we are adding the emp name, emp address, and now we are directly giving the object, instead of giving the name, address, we are directly giving the object to this thing, and then dot subscribe. So every time when we take the data from the user को छोड़, when we are taking the data from the server, the data will be sometimes, it will be very much fast, like it will be very much fast communication between the server and the database, and the server and the mobile, and the server and the app also. So for that we will use a subscribe. This subscribe helps us to maintain the speedability between those things, and then paste it. So here we have added these things over here, so just cut, paste. Okay, now subscribe is nothing but when we add a data to the database, or getting a data, or putting a data, that is a fast asynchronous process. Asynchronous process means doing from both ends. Okay, so subscribe करके ये जो method है, we are adding the data. So that is whenever we, for example, whenever we are getting the data from the database, we don't understand the data types directly. So in Angular भाषा में it will come in the form of observables. Okay, so observables करके वो आके hit करेगा app को. वो observables से it will convert into the different data types like number, string, or the employee data type, which I have detailedly created over here. Okay. Yeah. So did you understand what is subscribe is? Subscribe is nothing but it will help us to take the data. It will help us to take the data जो strongly, जो अच्छा सा force से हमको data जो hit करता है, that will be of undefined data type, or the data type that we don't know also. So ये subscribe क्या करता है? It will change the data type of that thing so that it will be readable for the app, for the Angular app. Okay, this is the work of the subscribe as of now. As of now नहीं, as of Angular purpose में subscribe यही ऐसा ही काम करता है. Okay, this is what it will do, and then else it will show like this, and then it will So like this. Then after hitting the API, don't need to do over there, we can do it outside the hitting of API. So we are entering the data inside the API. So initially the API is empty. See, there is nothing. Now we are going to add the data. Now let's just see how it works. So employee data, for example, let's just say we are going to add Black Panther, that is Wakanda forever. Wakanda forever. So click on submit. You can see it has submitted successfully inside the database. Now we will go to the database, that is over here, and then see, this is the MP data. As of now it is empty, but when we refresh it, see, the ID is given, employee data, employee's address is also given. Okay. So yep, this is how we are going to work. And then I think there is a small part which I missed. Here the ID should not come like this. Here it should come as a number directly. Okay, I'm pretty sure that I have missed something. Let me just check it out in the next video. Okay, so tab tak be happy, and I think we have done chopped the vegetables to make the Maggie. We have created a JSON file and then added the data. We have also created the service file, and now we need to add the vegetables, the chopped vegetables, to the Maggie to make it to give some flavor to the Maggie. And ये Angular के भाषा में we have combined the components with HTML, CSS and CSS, and we have also added the service logic, the API connection using Json Server in the service file. So this is step 7, step 8. We have done it successfully. Congratulations. So in the upcoming video, I'm going to resolve this error. This is actually not an error, but it's a fault actually. It is taking this as a random number, random data type, but I don't want that. I want to take it as a number. So okay, फिर मिलेंगे in the next video. Until then, take care, bye bye, and happy coding.